Welcome back to the Football Terrace. It's 5 p.m. We're live. The Terrace Phone Show is back again. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has reportedly agreed 90% of his new deal. A few minor details to get negotiated, and the deal will be announced at the end of the season. That, of course, gives the Glazers a really good opportunity to pull out of the deal should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not achieve the football club's main ambition, and that is to re-qualify for the Champions League proper next year. There are also adjacent reports to this today that Anthony Martial is linked with a big money move away in the summer to raise the funds to make it possible for a Haaland, Kane, Sancho-esque deal. We want your calls, we want your thoughts, we want your opinions on these two elements. Later in the show, we're going to be doing some Champions League predictions as well. I've got an amazing panel for you as well. You better phone up and have your say with them tonight. We've got man like KJ back in the house, doing his thing as usual, ready to go. We've got Daniel back, Chelsea fan, ready. Obviously, top of the world right now, Chelsea fan, probably to laugh at United. We've got the biggest ranter on social media right now. We all know him. He says the F word every 2 seconds, but we love him. It's man like Johnny's in the house. And back from his break from social media, dropping bombs, absolute bombs on social media since she's been back. It's man like Aiden up in the house, aka Jota. Gentlemen, how are we all? We all good? We all good? You're all muted.
Yes. Sorry.
Good. I'm glad you are all well. I don't know how much well you're going to be by the end of the show, but there we go. We're going to share the link on the Discord server for people to phone up and have their say very, very soon indeed. Where to start? Where can we start? One place. Ollie, it's rumored about 5 to 10 days ago that a new deal was imminent. We've seen the employment of the new director of football, John Murtough. We've seen Darren Fletcher given the role of technical director. That has now seen Nicky Butt leave the club of head of sort of youth development, which kind of makes sense because that's sort of the incumbent in now in the role that Darren Fletcher is doing. So Nicky Butt has moved on, and now there are big reports that a new deal has been verbally agreed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Finer details still to be negotiated and completed. It's looking like it's going to be announced in the summer. And I want to go to Aiden first, not heard from him in a few weeks. But what's your sort of instant feeling to the club rewarding what Ollie's achieved with a brand new 3-year deal?
To be honest, I'm not surprised. If it happens and he doesn't win the Europa, I'll be disappointed, but I won't be surprised. I think it's something that we're going to have to get used to with the club. I think it's ironic because, well, not ironic, it's a bit silly because we all said after Ole got the job initially that we were happy that he got the job. And at the time that was right. But after it, look what happened. And you would have thought an institution like Man United would know, okay, if you made a mistake one time, let's not make it again. And it looks like they're going to make it. It looks like they're going to reward mediocrity, which is top 4. So, you know, I'm the first person to be a criticism of Ole. I'm the first person to be a criticised of the players. But realistically, when you've got a board that rewards stuff like this, it's hard really to move away from that. And, you know, as I said, sum it up, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised.
Johnny, how about yourself? I know that we sort of discussed last week on socials that it was happening. There's a few mooted reports in some of the sort of tabloid news, but now this is starting to pick up. James Cooper's reported on this in a long piece on Sky Sports that really should be listened to. We'll delve into that later. More of a blueprint of how Man United are going to operate. What's your feeling on Ole being given a new deal and you having to endure 3 more years of his football? You're on mute again, bro.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Just want something I just want to get a sick bucket and puke in it. I just want to puke in it. Simple as that. I don't mix my words, don't have a filter. It makes me want to puke, literally. The board, the clearly not football people, because anybody that watches the football that we play and has watched Ole's performance in the moments that matter does not reward him with a new deal. I'm angry, I'm pissed off, I'm not surprised, I'm not shocked. So now we just have to roll on until Christmas because next year he will be exposed. Liverpool will come back. Chelsea will come back. Spurs likely going to be stronger. Leicester, Leicester have got a good manager. They're doing well. And Ole will be exposed. It's just prolonging the inevitable. But for now, yeah, I'll just grab a sick bucket and puke.
Daniel, from your point of view, look at this from a Chelsea fan perspective. I've seen a lot of people on socials in the last few days talk about better league position, more points, less defeats, more goals. He needs backing with better players. Do you think some Man United, would you say like Johnny's reaction is an overreaction from Man United fans, or do you think that they're right to be frustrated with Ole being given a new deal?
One thing I always say is that I never tell rival fans that they're overreacting, because they all expect different things and they all have certain expectations, especially if you support Man United. Look, you have big expectations, especially from what the club has been. I think one thing's for certain is that Alex Ferguson was a dream. That doesn't happen for any other club. Like, that's something we're never going to see again. So my thinking about Man United is that you need to come back to a level where you have a different, or you're going through a phase of different managers. You're going to have different ranges of success. And at the end of the day, when you look at all the managers that you've had, regardless of the trophies that Mourinho won and Louis van Gaal won, Ole has, to an extent, been the most successful. Came in first season, I think he won 14 of the 19 games. That's why he got his 3-year deal. 18-19 season, I think he finished 6th. Everyone was saying it's a poor squad, tried to improve. Then you have 19-20, you finish 3rd, get to 3 semi-finals. Look, at the end of the day, the paper, what's on paper, the results are there. Ole has those things in his corner, and that's why he's being rewarded for that. Like the football and all of that stuff, those are all intangibles. Those are all to the side. It's whether the club thinks he's being successful and whether he's taking the team forward. And look, his finishes are going to be 6th, 3rd, and potentially 2nd. And no one can really argue that he's improved the club more so than all the other guys that have been at the club. So the Louis van Gaals, the Mourinhos, the David Moyes. It's a tough situation to be in. Obviously, you don't like the manager, you don't like his football, but at the same time, you can't sack a manager for finishing in the top 4, can you, really? Especially when he's finishing potentially, again, season's not done, but potentially finishing 2nd. So it's a bit of a pickle, really.
How about yourself, KJ? I know we spoke about this a few weeks back. Do you sort of feel? Do you agree with what Daniel's saying there, or is it just a case of the club settling for where Ole is? Or is there an argument to say they've restructured the director of football, the technical director? They're going to go about their business differently, so they want to keep as much continuity as possible.
It's got to a point now where you can see what the club wants to do. You can see where they want to go. Actually, no, we can't see where they want to go because we have no idea. If it's not past top 4, then what's the point? But they clearly think this is going to work. The frustrating thing first is that we don't trust them, and we have no reason to trust the club, the board, Woodward, and the Pagans, fam. So, as United fans, for me, it's just one of these ones where the new deal is set, whether we like it or not. The football director is who he is, if you like it or not. The technical director is who he is, like it or not. Those 3 are going to be working together to try and make the club better. And for me, it's like that happened while we were screaming Ole out. While people were screaming Ole out, that still happened. That contract is still coming while Ole out has been screaming. So for me, it's like, all right, cool. Clearly, the going after the manager yields in him getting a new contract. So the only place for me left that people can use their energies now is at the people who run the football club. And we have to give the new structure a little bit of time. But if we don't see results, the energy should be towards the board, that Wallad, and the Pagans. I think there's no point going after Ole no more because they clearly think he's the guy.
Let me ask you a question. There's a comment here from Harry, who's a friend of the show on a lot. It says, in one sense, this is when the table and stats do lie. It says you're in second place, but it's still divided as to whether or not Ole is the right person. And again, I even think within it being divided, it's divided. My issue isn't so much the style of football. Would I like it better, more attractive? Why would I not? It's more, I think, Ole's hit his ceiling and isn't going to win us the major trophies. If we were playing the most scintillating football in the world, but we're still sitting second, my energy would be the same. I know we spoke behind the scenes, Johnny. You sort of said that you'd just be happy to settle for just having good football. Do any of you agree with that?
If the Glazers going to be running a football club and their intention isn't to be the champions of England, then of course the next best thing is to win minor cups and play good football. Literally, that's it. That's the only answer I can give.
Think about it like this. This is what I'm trying to say. Break it down now. Let's look at Man United and the managers that you've had. It's about, is there a clear pattern as to what the Glazers are doing in terms of the managers that are there? Why did David Moyes get sacked? David Moyes got sacked because you didn't finish in the top 4 and it was dire. Like, it wasn't great and nothing, like, just basically there was no substance there, nothing to believe in. Then you look at Louis van Gaal. Why did he get sacked? I mean, his last season, I believe he won the FA Cup in his last season. And where did he finish in the table?
Fifth. So he's got sacked because of top 4.
But then the mindset was, you're bringing in Mourinho, who's going to come in and win everything.
We were LVG, sorry to interject, we were walking down Wembley Way, and the crowd, it was announced that LVG was being sacked, and the whole crowd, after just winning the FA Cup, were just singing Jose Mourinho's name. There was, but do you know what, Danny, you put on a really good point. I want to throw this to Aiden. I think people need to realize, this is why, again, I get no energy on Ole. If you bring in the best manager possible to play the most beautiful football, but he finishes 5th one season, they'll just sack him. It won't matter. And this is why when it comes down to progression, I feel like personal preference of progression needs to be removed. And we need to almost try and settle on this. Challenging for league titles and winning league titles has to be what we're aiming for, because if you don't finish in the top 4, you kind of get sacked.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah.
So sort of on that in terms of, like, we know that Ole is maybe not be the right guy. So where do you stand? Is it more with Ole not playing the right football, or is it not going to be able to win us trophies? Like, where do you stand on that argument? Like, what is the biggest bugbear?
Yeah. Well, do you know what the thing is? I think that fans need to just realise that there's not one clear answer. Now, you can go like me towards one direction, more like in a more leaning. For example, I go towards Ole quite a lot, and I have my reasons. But I also go towards Ole with the acknowledgement, the fact that it's also the Glazers, it's also Ole. Some people would prefer trash football, but if you get trophies, it doesn't matter. Some people would prefer trophies, but no trophies, but really good football. Some people would prefer to go at the Glazers. Some people prefer to go to Ole. So I don't think there's a right answer in this context, really. Like, and I think that's why no one's really getting anywhere. But I think, for me, I just feel that, for example, your point, I think if you're going to tell me who's more likely to go before each other, it's Ole. So if the premise of your argument is I'm not going to go for the Ole because he's not going to go, out of the Glazers and Ole would go first before the Glazers, not the Glazers. So if that's the premise of your argument, I don't see why you wouldn't go for Ole. Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, it's like, the thing is, though, I agree with Johnny, and I agree with, I agree with everyone. I agree with KJ. I don't have a one standpoint, but I just don't like the way Ole's bringing.
I hear that. So go on, Danny.
Quickly, it's to the United fans anyway. The point is, if you, and you kind of glossed over it, but no one answered it. If you bring in a manager like Nagelsmann or Poch or whatever, someone who brings in attractive football, and you guys don't get the results that you want, I can guarantee you we're going to be sitting in the same position saying, "Oh, this and that manager," but it's going to be a different reason to what Ole wanted. You wanted Ole out.
We might respond to that might be the case, mate. But at the minute, we aren't getting the trophies. Sorry, we aren't getting the silverware, and we aren't getting the good football. It's a double negative.
Yeah.
It's both. It's true.
Right now.
Yeah, go on, John.
Yeah,
Go on, Aiden. You were going to respond.
I was going to say, for example, I think one thing that's messing people up is I'm seeing a lot of rebuilds take time. Now, this idea that Man United fans have that you can have another Alex Ferguson and you can build a club up for 7-8 years, but it's not going to happen. I'll read you. These are statistics. Listen to this. This is statistics, so no one can argue with this. Yeah, I'm telling you. So these are the most successful clubs. Yeah. So Real Madrid sacked 17 managers, got 30 trophies. This is since 2000. Barcelona sacked 13 managers, got 34 trophies. Chelsea, 18 managers, 17 trophies. Juventus, 12 managers, 22 trophies. PSG, 12 managers, 22 trophies. Bayern, 14 managers, 40 trophies. So clearly the way isn't having one manager.
Yes.
Because if you look at the other two, yes. Arsenal, 4 managers, 13 trophies. Liverpool, 6 managers, 12 trophies. And this is my issue. People are trying to get to Alex Ferguson again, saying rebuild for 7-8 years. Absolutely, it's not going to happen. So that's why I don't have an issue with sacking managers I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue because this is the right way.
You're absolutely bang on. The only difference is, and I think this is where people like me and KJ sit, is that all those clubs you've mentioned are run well.
Yeah, I know,
So my point is this: you can sack the manager. This is why it's wasted energy. We can sack the managers all we want, but without the structures that it's being built on,
that's fair.
Matter, because back to Daniel's point, we're all good. We get the better football, and there'll be some that'll go, do you know what? If we come fifth with better football, I'm happy. There'll be others that say, I don't kind of want that, and that's my problem with all of it. And it isn't that you're wrong. I'm 90% of what I hear you say about Ollie, I sit back and go, yeah, I agree with that. But my issue, we have this weird thought. And by the way, you're right. Ollie inners, you know that meme of the Spider-Men pointing at each other? That's how I see Ollie inners and Ollie outers, because listen, you're never creating a Sir Alex Ferguson thing again. And equally, until we have a structure in place, it's never going to improve. And if we are rebuilding this new structure,
that's what I'm saying. It's both of it.
If we are rebuilding this structure, we don't need Ollie. We need the club to build it properly. Maybe you want him in a consultative role. So give him a consultative role and bring a better coach in to make us play better football. But it's just a weird one for me at the moment.
Terry, do you know what I blame? And do you know who I blame for this? I blame Pep and Klopp. And the reason why I say that is because what has happened is there's this idea that that's the only way to win. And it's because we're in that current age where these managers are playing this attractive brand of football and they're winning with it. The reason why Chelsea fans used to laugh at rival fans for being called boring is because we were winning. The reason why Tottenham fans weren't complaining when they were top of the league is because they were winning. I said to one of my closest Tottenham fans, I said, if you start losing, you are going to lose your mind about the football. The football is going to be the first thing you go to. And exactly that happened. It literally happened. So my point to everyone who wants attractive football, and Johnny, I've seen your rant, and I totally understand why you would want Ole out. I don't have an opinion. Like, whether you're Ole in, whether you're Ole out, everyone's got their valid opinions and they want someone new or they want Ole to stay. Exactly. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that you're doing neither. You're neither winning the trophies that you want to win, and you're neither getting the football that you want. And as football fans, what are we supposed to compromise? But it comes back again to the structure. It comes back to the Glazers. The new manager comes in, you're going to have the same transfer issues. Is he going to get the same players that he wants? If you don't trust Jose Mourinho with money, how are you going to trust?
Another grievance that I have is like, it got to a certain point under Mourinho where I didn't feel connected to the club anymore, like emotionally. As much as I ran, like I don't see anything that I can buy into, and I'm at the same point with Ole. I don't feel connected to him as a manager. The football's trash, and then he's not even bringing in a League Cup, for example, for me to try and get bypass some of them things. And
Johnny, I'll make you right on that. Those things are the same. I stopped listening to his press conferences a year ago because there's something about Ollie when he talks. It kind of makes me I cringe a bit. It's like, because he's not a very good communicator, so I stopped listening. But as I say, I can't. Part of me that really wants him sacked, but there's part of me that
I think we're both right, guys. We're both right, and that's the thing. I feel like some people, you touch on this, Terry. I feel like, you know, I go at Ollie a lot, but I think it is kind of tongue in cheek. Like, I do say obviously I knew the Glazers are the issue, but I have people that are very Ole in that follow me, but I have people that are very Ole out that follow me. And my issue is, I think people want to be right as opposed to always wanting to.
Do you know what it comes down to?
A lot of the time.
I saw a tweet from Aaron the other day, and do you know what infuriated me? It wasn't what Aaron was saying. It was that we're not there. So it was about Bayern Munich being able to sack a manager. Somebody else comes in and wins a treble. My view, where I get annoyed about the Ollie being sacked element is, I would love us to have the structure in place. We're just bringing in and the squad in place, just bringing in a better manager would see an upturn like Chelsea have had. But my problem is, I know that it doesn't exist. So I just sort of feel like, I don't know. It's almost like, you ever like seen a film where like the people are trying to escape from an island and they get over a really big wave and they're all looking at each other laughing and oh, thank God we. And then there's an even bigger one coming. That's how I feel sacking a manager would be at Man United. We'd feel like, oh, we're over that hump. And do you know why I think it? Because I'm four managers deep in this, and we're still at this road, maybe in an age type of thing. But I want to move the subject on. We're going to do calls on that soon. So viewers, I'm going to share the link in a couple of minutes on the Discord server for you to phone in and give us your opinions on Ollie getting a new deal. Another element that's been spoke about today is Anthony Martial being linked with the move away. The move away is to fund a Sancho or Haaland-esque deal. So if that's what he's there to do, yeah, I'll go to you first on it, Aid. Like Martial, I know you're a big fan of him. But if we sold Martial and the proceeds we used to bring in a Haaland or a Sancho, is that a positive move, or do you still think we should be looking to buy those players and keep Anthony Martial?
Well, okay. First and foremost, if you want money, don't sell Martial. There's so many other players at the club you could sell for money. If you really, really want money that bad, people like Dalot, you could get some money for. You could get some money for Lingard with his form. You could get some money for other players. If you really need that money, don't sell Martial. I could sell James. Don't sell Martial.
I'll sell some shares.
Also, exactly. Also, I was going to say, Cavani, how many touches do Greenwood and Cavani average? Because I can't remember the exact statistics, but they ghost when they're up front. Everyone said it was Martial about 3 months ago, but ever since Greenwood and Cavani have been playing up front, I've seen that go very quiet. Because it's not to do with Martial, it's to do with the service we give. So even if we sell Martial and get in Haaland will probably score a ridiculous amount of goals, but will he score as many as he should? No. And I think bringing in a player like that and not getting the best out of him, it's just criminal. It's just criminal. Haaland would be a brilliant striker, but he wouldn't be able to get to the levels he should if you don't have a team that provides him chances. Because how many chances do we provide our strikers? Nothing. We don't provide them. Cavani had 1 touch in the box the other day. 1 in half an hour. That's abysmal.
I will agree with you to a point with the strikers not getting enough service. I feel like we create chances, but we can create more and better quality chances on a more regular basis. That's what I believe. That's why I feel like we need a right winger. But to say it's not Martial, it's just the system is wrong, because if you look at the chances he has missed, where they're from. The same criticism I give from me. Can I say something? The same criticism I give Firmino, the same criticism I have to give Martial. Look at where he is missing from. Look at like the actual opportunity that he gains. Are the opportunities that he should be missing most of this season? The answer is no. You shouldn't be missing those opportunities.
Okay, can I say something? Johnny, can I just say something?
Go on, Aiden. Go on.
I was going to say something. Terry just said 5 minutes ago, he said, sacking Ole, would be getting over a wave, and bringing in another huge one. You'd get over one wave, but you'd still have the main issue. We could get rid of Martial, and I guarantee you Haaland would come in and score more goals. I guarantee you that. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing Martial's been woeful in front of goal. Anyone that says I'm not, he's been woeful. But you fix that. But for us to get to where we want to, we'd still have the same issue. If you don't want to sack a manager, because you think there's going to be a bigger issue 10 minutes later, why are you so focused on Martial when the issue is
my argument wasn't about Martial needed to be sold. I love Martial. He's one of my favorite players at the club, and I want him to stay. I feel like he can bounce back from this. But my point is you can only defend him so much. You can't just say, yes, the other strikers are struggling too. But when you look at the opportunities being missed by Martial, that's where I have to step in and be like, actually,
of course.
He's got his.
If as a forward, any forward, right? If you already know that the chances in your team are at a premium, when that chance does eventually come, I think this is a fair factor. You're already going to be under more pressure on that chance to finish it, because you don't know when your next one's coming. It's not like you're in a City team where there's 4, 5, 6 coming and there's less pressure on each chance. Martial and Rashford and Cavani are under much more pressure because they don't know when the next chance is going to come.
That is true, but what are the best players in the world good at? Being clinical.
Yeah, I get that.
Being able to perform under pressure. So,
can I ask you one question? Martial, I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments saying, get rid of Martial. Martial 6 months ago was our player of the year. He was one of the best players we had. Okay, that's what he was. Can you tell me one player, apart from De Gea, that's been good for 18 months at the club, and Bruno is on his way, since Fergie came, 18 months straight, perfect at the level they should be at?
Aid, you're absolutely bow on with that.
But that's what I was just going to say. If you think Martial should be performing year on, year out, tell me one other player that's been good for 18 months at the level that we expect for 18 months, and you can't find one. Martial's just on a usual decline that every player that comes to this club goes on. That's what I'm saying.
And do you know what that you've done there, Aid? It's points like that, which is why I look beyond Ole for this absolute onslaught of criticism.
It's true.
Because it's been going on, and I'm sorry to swear,
8 years.
for fucking years with this level
Trust
of up
me.
and down. And like, I did a show on it weeks ago, and Ollie Outers in their masses came. I offered $5,000 for someone that could come on and disprove me live on the air, that can make me stutter and fall back. And I'll still do it now. If someone can come on and prove to me the Glazers aren't overly accountable, I will transfer live on the air £5,000 into your bank account right now. Mixes will kill me, but I'll give you $5,000. Every single time we've got a new manager, it's a new manager with favourites. A new manager, and I found all the tweets and put them all up on the screen in a show. We always say the same thing. Another coach could get this squad to win us the league. Oh, it's Rooney that's holding us back. It's Fellaini that's holding us back. It's Cleverley that's holding us back. It's blah, blah, blah. And it happens all the time. My view on the Martial thing is simple. Selling Martial to bring in a Haaland or a Sancho, maybe, and everyone's going to have a preference here, maybe you're bringing in better players. But you're bringing in a better player and letting a top player go. What we need to do as a club is, yes, you're right, Delo, Pereira, and Dan James should be used to fund the signing of one of those two players, and you still have Martial in your ranks, so we have that strength in depth. Because Martial is having a poor year this year. There is absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. He's actually had this season, I just went and checked, the same amount of touches in the box per game and just slightly more, like 0.1 more shots on goal per game and chances created for him, done it via Y-Scout. The only difference is he's gone from a 28% conversion rate of his chances.
He was overperforming his XG, wasn't he, last year?
12%. Yes, a little bit. Same as Greenwood. Greenwood, again, nothing's changed this year for Greenwood in terms of shots on goal, chances created for him, and touches in the box, barring like fractions. The difference is he had a 31 goal conversion rate last year. This season, a 4% conversion rate. That's the only reason their numbers are so much lower. The irony is, a lot of people say that we're playing to Rashford and Bruno's systems. They've had less chances and less shots this year per game than they did last season. The difference is they've maintained their conversion rate of last year, which is in the mid-20s, meaning they've scored the goals. But Man United's problem is, the biggest problem on a personnel level is we have a problem with strength and depth. And if we got rid of Martial tomorrow and funded it for Haaland, I'm buzzing. But what happens when you rotate Haaland out? What happens if Haaland... And it's Dan James or another 17-year-old kid that's got to come in and replace him. The problem that we have compared to City, and it's the reason this season City are further in front of us, even more so than Ollie's tactics, is they don't have to overuse players. You're absolutely right in one of your threads the other day. Ollie has overused certain players in this team. Why? Because what's the alternatives? Barring Donny van der Beek, which is the only one where I get the mass criticism. What do we have as an option? It's just crazy. We need to be building strength.
He has. Like, he played Rashford versus Sociedad. He played Fernandes versus Sociedad. He hasn't played Bailly versus, like, there's a lot of times where he didn't.
There's a few times, but I'm talking in the Premier League on a real level. If we don't play Rashford and Martial's our only striker and Cavani's out, who else is there we have an impact?
That's down to the system, though. That's not down to the players being incompetent. Pogba, Martial was shelling. Like, it's not down to them being poor. Like, really, I do get that we don't have enough squad depth, but Ollie doesn't really take
because if it was just about the system, then Liverpool wouldn't have regressed so much this year. And
it's not just about the system. It's not just.
And Pep would never have a flop signing.
Something else I'm thinking about. What if bring in Sancho, but Pogba leaves like he's supposed to leave, and we have Midfield for a consistent.
Why did they have?
Who's getting the ball to Sancho? Who's getting the ball to Haaland?
Why did McTominay and Fred even have a name together?
Because there are fusion dance without a fusion dance stand-up. That's why there are fusion dance without fusion dance. There should be one player, but they're actually two separate players, and it's annoying because it just shouldn't exist. But the answer to that, though, to Johnny, to your question, what if Jadon Sancho comes in and Pogba and Martial leave due to whatever reasons? It's up to the club to want to replace them. If Paul Pogba goes and we have no replacement for Paul Pogba and we're still sticking with Freddie McTominay, as much as Ollie, yes, you're at fault for picking those two. What else has he got to pick? The club are the ones building the squad.
You couldn't even blame Ollie at that point, could you?
You know what I'm saying?
Johnny, KJ, let me ask you a question, and Aiden as well. What has changed in Ollie's system so much that has stopped Martial from scoring the goals he was scoring in the lockdown period? Like, what's the difference? Because, for example, now with Pulisic, I was on a stream and I could like definitively break down to you why Pulisic is just not the same guy from lockdown Pulisic to this season's Pulisic. Like, I want to know what the reason why Martial isn't the same guy, basically, in you guys' opinion?
Well, I think one thing is he didn't start well. I think when you don't start well, that affects your confidence of the rest of the thing. And Martial, he's always been a timid player, and he's been a very consistent finisher. Like, whatever you want to say about Martial, give him a chance in front of goal, and he will usually finish it. But if I'm 100% honest with you, like, that's the thing. This is why I always say I'm OLE out, but I understand it's not just him, because I just think this is a natural regression of every single player that has played for the club since Fergie has left. They never sustain themselves, apart from De Gea, for more than 18 months. I can't think of one player that I can say 18 months, you did your job at the level of Man United. Maybe Herrera, but Herrera wasn't even that good.
Do you know what it is, Aidan? Do you know what it is? It's the trust. It's the trust. Yeah, it's the trust. Yeah, in the board structure again. You think when Chelsea sold Salah, De Bruyne, and Lukaku, you think Chelsea fans were thinking in that season, "Oh my God, we sold Salah,
because they trust them." Yeah, trust me.
It's because we trusted who we had, and we literally won the league. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, after that, and it was all great.
It is. Sorry, Johnny, and it's about trusting what's going on where you are, plus the standards. When they know the standards, like this season, people go, "Oh, we bottled the league," and I think there's an element of that, but there's a part of me.
We didn't bottle the league.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. People said we bottled it, and then I'm leaning more the other way now. I'm thinking, no, the players just got to a point where they looked down the league and went, "We've pretty much secured top 4 already." Put off the gas because there's no pressure to push on to that next level. You listen to a lot of the reports coming out of Tottenham. Yes, Jose can be toxic, but a lot of the reports from very credible sources right now are Harry Kane's disillusion with Tottenham because they don't like the direction the club's gone in with Jose Mourinho. So it isn't we don't like Jose per se. It's I don't like the club, what the club is doing. So you pull away from it. And Man United have done that 3 or 4 times. The people that suffer the most, as much as we've hated it as fans, I've always felt sorry for the players because they have a limited time. You have a limited time as a player to be at your best. Where fans, we have until the day we die to support this football club. And I'm pretty sure in the next 50 years, hopefully we're all going to live that long, plus some, especially Aid. Aid's young. Aid's got probably another 70 years left. Like, at the end of the day, we hope that it turns around again. Johnny, make your final point, then we're going to go to some callers.
Some fans, like, I defend Martial as one of my favourite players, but some fans, and I'm trying to be balanced here, I'll play devil's advocate. Some fans say that since Cavani's come in, Martial's took his bat and ball over.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, if that's true, as much as I defend Martial, I can't defend that. That's the wrong mentality. You're at Man United. There's going to be competition for places, right? And if you can't get over can't fucking get over yourself and fucking man up, right, and prove to Ole that you should be playing just because, in spite of Cavani, then you shouldn't be at Man United anyway.
And do you know what's interesting about that though? And this is one of the things where I defend Ole. So sorry, Ole out, as if you're going to cry about this. We don't know exactly what's happened. And I hated it under Jose because we didn't know what was going on, because Jose would out his players pretty much and say they're this, they're that, or whatnot. This is where I respect Ole, and this element of Ole's leadership and this element of his man management, I think, is perfect, because maybe in a year, when say he leaves in the summer, we might find out in a year, 2 years, we might find out in an autobiography in 10 years' time what the actual problems are. There is definitely a correlation. And sometimes they don't always equal causation, but there's definitely a correlation. The 2 times we have brought into the club an elite level number 9, Martial's season has been bang average. Every time he's the main guy, he's had a very good season. But then we've all said you need more strength in depth. So what do? Do you never buy a replacement or somebody else that can challenge Martial because it makes him bad?
Not operate that way.
No, you can't. And that's where you have to. People have to start removing their personal feelings towards players and look at it objectively and go, what's best for the football club? So that if that was the reason, like you've said, Johnny, that Martial can't handle competition.
If that was the reason,
you have to move him on. We're going to go to some callers here. After we're going to do a few calls, then we're going to start talking about Champions League predictions. Who's going to win it? Make sure you're smashing that like button, ladies and gentlemen. And I know you all saw my tweet today. The announcement is imminent. It's coming very, very soon. And I'm very, very excited to let you know the next phase of my life. It's going to be amazing. And no, I'm not having a hair transplant. No, I'm not buying I've had a few questions. What is it? No, I'm not changing anything physical about. I might lose a little bit.
Related? Is it football related?
It's to do. Yes, it's definitely football related.
No, it's not. It's lying. Terry is actually pregnant.
He's going to be the new Man United centre back.
He's finally coming out. That's what it is.
I'm replacing Ed Woodward at Manchester United. Find
Oh,
out.
please.
I would love. Mate, trust me, I could run. I know I could run the football element better than my
absolute donut.
Let's go to our first caller. We're getting TJ on the line. TJ, welcome to the terrace. What do you want to say?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. What's on your mind?
I was just going to say it's kind of guaranteed that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's going to be gone, and by Christmas he's gone. Everyone knows it. What I wanted to bring up was this season, you're second in the league. This is not salty because I'm an Arsenal fan, all right? You're second in the league. You're miles behind Man City. I want to go back a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, whenever it was. Jose, second in the league, miles behind Man City. Does okay. Fans are okay with it. Needs the funds to kick on and try and catch up to win the title. Doesn't get them. Loses motivation. Gets sacked by Christmas. I think we're going to see the same thing here with Solskjaer.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting with that, bro? I was sitting in the studio in Northwest London. Said the same thing to everybody. Jose's got to go. He's too far behind City. I was like, do you really think sacking the manager under this ownership guarantees us improvement? Yeah, 100%, Terry, because this squad could win the league with any other manager as long as they're not as negative as Jose. And Ollie isn't as negative as Jose, both on and off the pitch, in my opinion. I wouldn't say he's and we're in the same space. And I was absolutely right. Nobody likes to mention that. I hear you, bro.
The only difference I believe there is, and to your point, is Jose is inherently a selfish man in terms of his career, which is fair enough. Everyone's free to be selfish in their career. So him getting fed up and frustrated and turning toxic is a natural Jose trait. The difference with Ollie is Ollie for two things. One, Ollie is not that kind of guy. He genuinely loves the club, and if he can be part of the process to make this club better, he would do that for as long as possible. So he will put up with the foolishness. And
I was going to go on to say I don't think he's going to lose. I don't think he's going to lose motivation, but because he's going to fall further and further behind, I think he's going to get sacked. Because if you think about it, I think.
Sorry, man.
You can finish. You can finish if you want.
My second point would be too. The board are clearly okay with him being in the job. They're clearly, because they made so many different changes. They're wanting him to stay where he is just so that he can stay in top four. Do you
know what's mad about that? I don't know where. So I hit the space button. Space button throws people out. Do you know what's crazy about that? I want to ask Aidan this question. Wouldn't it just be, or make a statement to him? I'd love his response. Wouldn't it be typical Glazers and Woodward to give the manager a new 3-year deal and then sack him in 6 months' time and have to pay all the additional compensation?
Well, you know the answer to that question.
Exactly.
Honestly, I'm genuinely not even joking. I'm being 100% serious on this. I'm not even trying to be like silly. I actually wonder, like, are they okay in the head? Like, not being, I'm being serious. Have they got some? You know why you guys are laughing? I'm being serious. Are they like? Is there something wrong in their head? Because maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe they've just like, not trying to be rude, but like, they must have something up because the level of stupidity, like, it's ridiculous. It's honestly like I can't explain it. Like, it's stupid. But of course they do that. Of course they do that. And then they take 10 million out of the club and then use that.
We say stupidity, but it isn't. Do you know why? Ollie signs a new deal, share price rises, they make more money. We then sack Ollie, the share price dwindles a little bit. Every time we've announced a new manager, the instant rise in share price, making them multiple millions of pounds, has eclipsed and beaten the previous highest peak each time. So from their point of view, I think it's all premeditated. Give a manager a deal. The club are the ones who destabilize it. The club are the ones who leak the information to the press. We break him down and we make more money. Like, I think as much as we think it's them being stupid, they just keep making more and more money. And as long as they
get top four consistently, they just want top four consistently. That's what they want.
It's like
top four, Champions League money, sponsorship money, top four. Because also, you know, the recent kit deal, it was worth like how much less than the other one? I know it was worth less.
But it isn't.
It
isn't. So it isn't. It's 4 million. See, this is the business element of it. It's worth £4 million a year less than Chevrolet. But we are now free to gain our own automobile sponsorship again, which means, and they range about 8 to 9 million a year. So we're going to be £5 million a year better off. Plus, TeamViewer is going to open up avenues for additional revenue through digital means and social media. So they anticipate an extra 10 to 12 million a year through that. So the deal will enable us to be around 25 million pound a year better off. These guys, when it comes to business, are as smart as you like. And Man United fans are silly. They go, oh, I don't even know what Team Fury is. People go, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna download it.
You know scammers use that. Scammers use that. Have you seen the YouTube videos like calling out fake tech scammers or like finding where they live? They literally, TeamViewer is used as a scamming platform to be able to scam people with their money.
Or it makes sense because them man are doing a fraud at United anyway.
Yeah,
so like,
the irony is insane. The irony is insane.
In my day job, I've just helped a fintech launch because PayPal is the amount of fraud that billions of pounds a year go for PayPal. This is what happens it's literally what I do for a living. TJ, yes, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, also, I think he'll get sacked. He probably won't lose motivation because obviously he's a legend of the club. But I don't think Liverpool are going to be this bad next year. I don't think. Well, actually, Chelsea will be better this year. City will still be there. Who's up there? Leicester will still be there. And as mad as it sounds, I don't even think we'll be that bad next year.
Go on, Daniel.
Just very quickly. Yeah. What I will say is that one, to the Ole point, the reason why maybe I slightly disagree with him getting sacked maybe next year or whatnot is because one thing that I've seen in Ole and Man United that I haven't seen in a lot of other managers who are on the verge of getting sacked is that I just can't imagine these players not playing for this guy anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? They genuinely, like, you can see it on their faces, they genuinely do enjoy playing under him. And there's something that he has about his man management or something that he does that does it so well. And then two to the point of this team will be back. I think we've been saying everyone will be back since the year Tottenham, I think Leicester won the league and Tottenham finished second, or finished third actually. They should have finished second, but we've been saying people will be back every year. One thing's for certain is that every team that we think will be back the next year, it doesn't happen that way. So we just can't predict these things.
Arsenal won't be back next year because they're back now.
Arsenal are the only certain.
This is the Surgeons 10th. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got another Gunnar Express on the show now. What do you want to say, bro?
Yeah, you guys doing good? Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to say, brother?
Just listening to what you guys said about United, it's just so reminiscent to the problems we're having at Arsenal, where we've got not an inexperienced manager, but an inexperienced manager at a top level. A manager who's under obviously a lot of people who want him out, people who want him in, kind of thing. But then it all stems back to the owners and the ownership of the club, because we're the exact same. Our owners are pretty much useless. They don't care. They have no football knowledge other than business. And again, they're great at the business side of it, but they can't do the football stuff. So it's so similar, but at the same time, for me with Arteta especially, it's how can you defend Arteta? But like with Ole, I don't get why there's so many people that are Ole out. Like, I get that you're not playing good football, but you're second. You could be in a Europa League final. You could probably win that as well. So I don't see the massive like the big issues. Whereas there's so many Arsenal fans that want Arteta in when we're doing worse than you guys, and we're in the same situation.
Yeah, no, I get that. Do you know what it comes down to for me? Oh, go on, Johnny. You speak, bruv. Go on.
Yeah, what's your name, fella?
Just the Gunnar Express.
So, after watching that performance on Sunday against Leicester, what gives you any kind of faith that we're going to get all the way through to the Europa League final and win it? I'm really interested to know.
We'll get topped by Roma, I think. We'll get topped by Roma.
But because obviously Granada ain't going to be the biggest.
All right, so then we get to Roma and Ajax.
The thing with, if Ajax say win against Roma, for me they play very open football. So you guys, you might not be the greatest of teams right now, but you can deal with Roma. They play so open, you'll be able to cut through them with the likes of Fernandes. And then with Roma as well, their defence is quite slow. So with some fast-paced players, you could probably get through them. And then the final, say it's against Arsenal. I think you're beating us, but
you've had a number against us a few times. Johnny, can I ask you a question, Johnny? Say Man United, this is all hypothetical. If Man United do win it and we win it well, so we get through the next few rounds comfortably and we win the final 2-0, will you praise Ole and give him more time because he's achieved that trophy element? Would you then go, okay, I'm willing to give him sort of next season if we get better players? Would you do that?
No, because like it's a consolation prize. It is. We should have been Champions League. We should have been. No. I'm being serious. I will remain consistent. We should have been in the Champions League. We're all in there because it's ineptitude. Let's get. Don't forget.
But Johnny, wait. But Johnny, if it was in the Champions League, we probably would have been knocked out by now.
No,
Exactly.
anyway,
So
if he got a respectable run to quarter-final, did I expect him to win it? Did I yell like? But put a respectable run in. Don't come out the way he came out.
So is there something? What is it that Ollie would have to do for you to say I was wrong? What would it look like for you, Johnny? For your point of view, what would it take from Ollie for you to go, do you know what? I got it wrong. Is it winning the Premier League? Is it playing a certain style of football? I'm purely intrigued to know what it is.
There's so many facets to his management that I see are flawed. There's too many things he's got to get. He would have to turn.
I get that right. But my point is this: if we were top of the league by 10 points, but he smiled when we lost Prescott, I don't think people would care what he was saying.
Of course, bro. I'd rate Ole if he did that, bro. If he won the Europa League, I would of course praise him because you guys know, bro. If he does well, I will praise him. I'm not like
I know you would.
I will, but.
I'm trying. I get you because you're quite fair with that. I like Johnny's approach because Johnny is it's unyielding. There's nothing he can do.
I love Johnny.
There's so many. When you say there's so many facets to his managerial game, would you care about? I know you don't like him smiling after we lose, and I know you don't like how he talks and the things that he says. But if he was top of the league by 20 points right now, would him smiling after a defeat bother you as much?
Listen. If he was 20 points clear, even the staunchest OLEOUT, and I'm probably the spearhead of it, even I couldn't complain then. You know, if he wins the Europa League, I will credit him. I will credit him. I'll say, well done, Ole.
I'm just intrigued because for me, I think a lot of people's annoyances in Ollie would evaporate overnight if he was winning the major trophies that we want. I think we nitpick on the things, a bit like when with certain players, like the things don't go right and suddenly everyone focuses on the bad elements of Martial, the bad elements of Rashford. When we're top of the league, we're all singing songs, having a beer. Where that be?
What I will say.
Just one point.
No, go on, Johnny. Go on.
If this had been Ollie's second season, and he just got his first season, right, and then he wins the Europa League, that would be an achievement, and I'd be proud of him. I'd be praising him. But that's not where we are. And that's not how he ended up in Premier. That's not how he ended up in the Europa League. He ended up in there. It's ineptitude. Do you understand that? So
technically,
I can't put so much credit on that.
No. And this is where I will agree. This is where I will agree with Johnny though, in terms of with what Terry was saying, and where I slightly disagree is that's where the hypotheticals, in my opinion, should stop. Because it's all about if he does this and if he wins the trophies there. At the end of the day, there was a trophy that was available and on offer against Leicester, and you kind of flunked that and went out in that competition.
You should have got to that final. Southampton next.
Facts. And if Ollie doesn't win the Europa League, in my opinion, as a Chelsea fan, and of course I'm thinking with my Chelsea Roman hat on, but if Ollie doesn't win the Europa League, regardless of where he finishes in the league, in my opinion, he should get sacked because that's just not good enough and it's not on.
You won it and you sacked Sarri. And I know what Terry's saying about structure, but there's standards there.
Of course. And I don't disagree with any of that. And I only asked a hypothetical because I want to understand where Johnny's mind is at. Because for me, winning the Europa League won't overtly change my mind that Ollie can't win us the major trophy because it isn't one of the major trophies. If next season we're in the Champions League and he wins it, then my theory that he's not good enough to lift one of the major trophies is
of course
incorrect. And like I say, I can suffer not having the most attractive. I can suffer not being able to boast that my team plays the best football in the league if we're winning the major trophies. Of course, I want the utopia of the best football and winning all the trophies. But I would take average football winning trophies over the best football in the league, but not winning anything. Anyone who would do that, those people, they're bums for life, bruv. They're the guys I told you. Bottle of champagne.
That's what they are. They're Leeds fans. The absolute Leeds fans. Leeds fans.
Thank you very much for coming on, bro. Appreciate it.
If he'd have finished fifth last year, if he'd have finished fifth and won Europa League, I would praise him, man. I would praise him. But that's not what happened.
I hear you. And you're allowed to have your...
You know what? Yeah. Everyone's allowed their criteria. I've only got one criteria that I care about, and that is 4 Premier Leagues, 1 Champions League before I even not spit on that Wallad and those pagans, fam. That's what it takes for me, bro. I've laid out my criteria. I don't care, bro. They're the only people.
Can you imagine
whatever time frame? I don't care.
AJ's
I don't care.
they're
You should get that frame, those ballads and put it on your wall. You should get it framed, those ballads.
He's 87. His grandchildren and great grandchildren are surrounding him. United finally achieved that. He's like,
hey, KJ, you know you're the leader of the resistance. What's your grand plan? Never asked you this question. Yep.
My grand plan is.
What's your grand plan to get the Glazers out?
All right, listen, I've listed my grand plan many times before. I would love for the United fan base to come together. Don't buy any of the merch. Don't go to the superstore when we're allowed back into Old Trafford. Don't go back even after COVID. I don't care. No one go. You know what I'm saying? Like don't even buy any sponsors.
What I do would get me backed. I'm just saying that. So I'm
Like I'm listing all the things that I would do. I would not buy their sponsors.
What's
No matter what it is.
It's for me, like people always say to me, but do you think you can get the Glazers out? No, I just want people to focus on what the real problem is. Like, you know, in life, sometimes people are like, oh, it's terrible that you get arrested for that. Yeah, there's no point shouting at the police, shout at the lawmakers. They're just like, you know what I mean? It's like right now, if I get stopped and fined by the police for breaking COVID rules, it's not the policeman's fault. It's the government that put the rule. Like, I go for the root cause in life. I go for the people that make the rules, not the people that enforce them. Do you know what I mean? Like the prefects, bun them up. They're just listening to the teachers. I have a guy at the teachers.
There's still some racist
people. Spending a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I'm about change, and you only change things by going for the root cause. If you can't change it, at least you express the frustration towards the root cause of the problem. So for me, I just, like I say, I get there are flaws with Ole. There'll be flaws with the next manager. There'll be flaws with the next manager. The only time it works, and I will be more excited, not comfortable, excited about sacking a manager, is if we can see, if this new director of football approach comes in and we see in the summer, and by the way, I said, read it. I'm going to share the link afterwards, everybody. It's what the new structure at Man United looks like. And I'm going to hold the club to this because the club have given this information to James Cooper. And if we don't operate how this says, then we know it's all nonsense. But if we operate like that and I can see progression, then I'm more encouraged. Not supportive, but more encouraged by sacking a manager because I think there can be some progression. We're going to do some more.
Are you cautiously optimistic now with this new structure?
I'm intrigued to see what happens. Would be my response. I think I'm intrigued to see how it pans out. If we sign
Josh King at striker,
if we sign Josh King, Ben White, and I don't know, Cantwell.
I'll go into hibernation if we do that.
If we spend all summer chasing Haaland, if we spend all summer chasing Haaland, and then we sign some 18-year-old wonder kid on deadline day, this whole new thing, I'm not listening to it ever again. Super Chat says if United are not going to spend big on players, they should try hiring a scout team members from Leicester who have been fined. Just so everyone knows, the head of scouting lives in Leighton in East London, right by the cricket ground. So he's not hard to find.
I know Leighton.
There we go. That's where I'm from, bro. Born and bred. We're going to start talking now about something else. We'll get a more callers soon. Stay backstage. Champions League predictions. Let's change it up a little bit. Champions League predictions. I want to start off with who do we think the favourite is? Johnny, who do you think is going to win the tournament and why?
Fucking hell. It's like chewing glass saying this, but fucking City. I just think City are too strong. I think it'll be I'd like it to be Poch. I'd like Poch to get there, but I think it's going to be a Bayern Munich City final. And I will be a Bayern Munich fan on that game, believe me.
I don't think it can be Bayern Munich City.
Okay.
They have to beat each other. They're playing each other, no?
Yeah,
let me get it.
I think I'm reluctant. I hate to say it, but City. City. I think they're just too strong.
How about yourself, Aid? I mean, a lot of City are being touted. PSG. Is there an outside chance? Is there an outside chance for Chelsea?
I'm looking at it now. I said Chelsea back in February. I think they're going to be incredible. To be honest, I think it's gonna might be PSG. Bayern defo have a chance. I think PSG sort of relies on whether Mbappe and Neymar will finish because if you remember in that final, Mbappe missed 3 or 4 good chances where he should have scored. So it's whether he learns from that. But yeah, I think Chelsea. I wouldn't be surprised that a Chelsea and either Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain final, one of the two. Personally, I think Man City, Pep's the type of guy who'll get to the final, then they'll change to a back 5 for no reason. He overcomplicates everything. They go way too intricate. So to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised at Chelsea or Bayern or PSG final. So yeah, that's what I think could happen.
KJ, I mean, a lot of people with Chelsea, a lot of people with dark horses. We know who the favourites are. When we speak about Liverpool, do Liverpool have a chance?
Yeah, 100%. They're performing so much better
Yeah.
in in Europe than they are in domestically. So they're on also the same side as Chelsea. So if they beat Real Madrid, which is doable,
Yeah.
they'll probably get Chelsea in the semis, and that you can't tell me that's not winnable for either team. So if Chelsea have a chance, Liverpool have a chance. So yeah, they could do it. For me, I feel like Chelsea are just ahead of them in terms of the dark horse race. Like out of dark horses, who's got a better chance? I think it will be Chelsea.
Yeah.
But you can't just say Liverpool have no chance of winning it. Like it makes no sense to say that. Same with Real Madrid. Real Madrid have won this. It's their trophy. They've won this 13 times. So we're highlighting Chelsea because of the form they're in. But you look at two clubs in Liverpool and Real Madrid, they could also do something. But the main favourites have to be the team that won it last year, which is Bayern Munich.
Back to back. How about Daniel? How about yourself, mate? I know. Where's your head at with it? Who do you look at as still being the out and out favourite? Is it Bayern Munich? Is it City? Do you fancy yourselves at all, or are you just trying to like put it out your mind that you've got a really easy route to the final?
Yeah, look, I think the Chelsea thing, even Chelsea fans, any Chelsea fan who tells you we're going to win it, we're saying it out of jest, like it's because we're still in the competition. Obviously, we've got the easier side of the draw, but at the end of the day, there's no easy games in the Champions League. I think that there is a percentage in me that believes we can win it. Look, at the end of the day, we have to believe if we're in it. You got to go out there and finish your dinner. When I look at Porto, I think that's a game we should be winning. When I look at Real Madrid and Liverpool, I think those are games that we can't say for sure that we're not going to win. Like the only team I would have faced in the Champions League and said we're literally not going to win is Bayern Munich, in my opinion. So I think, yeah, as Chelsea fans, or as a Chelsea fan, I have a bit of belief that we can make some noise. But in terms of favourites, I think, look, do you know who everyone just keeps forgetting for me? I think the PSG Barcelona game was overlooked. PSG won that very, very well. And they played really well over two legs. And I think everyone's focused on Bayern, City, and stuff like that. I think PSG have a very, very good shot, to finally win it, especially Neymar back. Mbappe is there and he's playing well. Verratti's looking like he's in the form of his life as well. So if I was to put a bet down, I think I'd go with PSG, you know.
That is an interesting one. I mean, it's so open. It's so much fun. I can't wait for it. Viewers, we want your view. We want your opinion. We want to know what you're thinking and feeling about it. The link to call in is on the general chat page of the Football Terrace. I'm also going to post it here in the live comment section on YouTube as well. I'll also paste it under our live stream that's currently on Twitter, if you are watching on Twitter as well. Make sure you're smashing like and share buttons. Call the show and have your say. We're still taking calls about Ole and his new deal. We still haven't had many people call in and give us an opinion on Anthony Martial. Should Man United sell him?
Come on, back my guy.
I want your views and opinions. We've got Ab who's going to be on the show now. What are you saying, bro?
What up, guys? How are you?
Yeah, very well, mate. What are you here to speak about, bro?
To fair, a few things. Obviously, Daniel asked, why is Martial sort of gone backwards? To be fair, I think that's quite an easy answer. McFred, if you look at sort of lockdown, if you look at lockdown going forward, when we played probably our best football, which I'm sure all the Man United fans would agree, who was our midfield too?
Pogtic.
Pogtic was our midfield too. And the thing is that I think obviously everyone agrees about this football thing. For me, I'd actually really have a problem with Ole's football, and I'm a big football fan. I love Dutch football. I love Brazilian football. The biggest problem we have is McFred. I'm sorry. Once we change our two centre mids, as much as Ole's football annoys me, you will actually see a better understanding of Ole's football, which is a quick combination, direct play. But when you have two busted sofas that can't pass a freaking ball, honestly,
happy meal midfield, isn't it?
Oh my god! Honestly,
I told you these brothers are a fusion dance and they haven't done the fusion dance yet.
Oh my god,
I'm telling you,
how
can you call McFred and you're still two separate players?
Also, they don't even make up one player, bruv. They honestly don't. Prime Casemiro, Prime Fabinho is better.
Listen. I'm telling you, we are Man United. We have a discount version of Aston Villa's midfield, both Brazilian and Scottish. They've got McDouglas. They've got McDouglas. We've got McFred.
it's even when you look at Pogba and Matic, the one thing that those two lack, because Pogba's great at everything. The only thing he doesn't have is he doesn't have that speed over the first 4 or 5 yards, and that's mainly because he's about 7 foot bloody tall. Most people that tall are not great. We lack mobility with them two when they play in the middle, and teams excited to exploit that. That's why he went to McFred. We literally have these 4 midfielders, barring Pogba, that can play for me with anybody because his passing range and his ability on the ball is world class. If you can play a double pivot with Pogba, cool. You need someone next to him who has great mobility, amazing stamina, can intercept and break up play, shield the back line, but can pass. And it's not even a McFred thing. It's you need McTominay, Fred, and Matic to have a baby. Them 3 together as a footballer would be you get all of it.
Yeah,
so can say it's needy.
No, but can I just say? Wait. Come back. People say Kante and Pogba. Now I know they're going to play in the. We're going to see how they do in internationals. But Matuidi next to him is very different to Kante and Pogba alone. Kante and Pogba in the World Cup had Matuidi next to them. Kante would go for a break-up play and Matuidi would sit with Pogba. That is very different to having a lone pivot with Can Pog or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But so that's one thing. It isn't just as easy as saying.
No, but Aiden, think about how well Kante's been playing in this.
Yeah, he's incredible, mate. Kante Pogba is one of the best midfield partnerships in recent years. It's so good.
Kante's good back into form as well.
But guys,
he's starting to play better recently.
But Terry, my pushback on what you say is, which I agree to a certain extent. But if you look at Chelsea's midfield too recently, obviously except for Kante becoming a monster again, was Kovacic and Jorginho. They're not the most. They're not the most mobile, or except for Kovacic, who I rate highly.
They complement each other very well, though.
They do. But
they're also go on.
The big thing they do is they pass the ball. As long as you can pass the ball. And the thing is with Bruno, which I feel sorry for him, because our midfield is supposed to be the connection to Bruno, to our attackers. Bruno has to drop back 10 yards, then try to do a miracle ball.
Facts. And Martial.
So 1 second. So go on, Johnny, then I'll go. Go on.
Yeah. Given how fast that Bailly is, my theory is, because I know Matic is practically past it now, but just to have got through this season, don't you think he could have played Matic at the 6? And I know he's not got the mobility that he used to have, but because of Bailly's speed, he could have swept up anything that Matic got past Matic.
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, KJ. The biggest problem we've had, and I think Terry's brought this up, is Bailly's just not fit. I'm sorry.
But he has been fit.
He's not been fit. Because look at this. If Bailly's played, let's say, a run of 10 games, I bet you any money Matic would have played a run of 10 games there, which means Pogba would have played a run of 10 games. Yeah. As the thing is that we've had so many key players who complement the team injured, which affect that. For me, as much as I hate McFred, Ole trusts both of them to be fit and play every single game.
Just quickly on that point about playing Bailly with Matic. The reason why that wouldn't be a great thing is because now you've got a defender having to cover for 2 players lack of speed. When it's just Maguire next to you, you've got McTominay and Fred in front, he can just cover for Maguire. But now that you've got one bar next to you and one in front of you, I think too much.
What do you think about Twanzebe? Because I think a lot of people don't bring up the point that after PSG, he wasn't given a chance. And I know that he made a mistake versus Istanbul, but Maguire and Lindelof make mistakes every other day. So I think Twanzebe, what do you think? Just a question.
So on those 2 players, I saw a lot of threads about that yesterday, and then I went and did a bit of digging. So Ollie's been in charge of Man United for about 835 days. Collectively, Twanzebe and Bailly have been out injured for 637 days.
That's why they can't play.
That's why they don't play. And I think this is where I look at Ollie's decision making. And this is one of the things that I agree with him on, and I don't allow myself to be.
That's misleading though, because Twanzebe was unfit for the whole of last season, but this season he's been fit for the whole season. So he could have picked him this season if he wanted. He has been fit for the majority of this season. He's been fit.
He's been fit most of this season, Twanzebe.
So no,
that's not true. Sorry,
let me just explain why. This season, he was out injured for 123 days this year.
Mm-hmm.
this season. Okay, now the majority. Now he hasn't been out again injured since October. That's because he's barely played. However, what you've got to look at is every time he gets into a run of games, his body breaks down. This is the point. And Tuanzebe haven't had as many injuries in recent months. It's because Ole isn't playing them. As soon as they start in regular game time, their bodies break down.
Okay, I'll put a question to you. Is it worse switching around your centre backs, and having an inconsistent partnership, or playing Maguire and Lindelof? What would make more mistakes? Because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to if you guys are saying if you switch centre backs constantly, you're going to make mistakes. That's what you guys are saying. Is that worse than Lindelof and Maguire? Because I would argue, as much as I fully agree with you, Lindelof and Maguire make more mistakes than you would have switching centre backs constantly. That's what I think.
Again, and I suppose for me, it's a good hypothetical question. My view is this: we're sitting second in the league, which is better than us being fifth in the league. Even if regardless, we don't know whether chopping and changing regularly would make us better or worse. What we do know is with the decision Ole's made, all the things that are wrong with us, we are second in the league. So you are right. We could do those changes and we could be second in the league, but 2 points behind City. We could have kept on making all those changes and we could be sitting fifth and we'd be even angrier as a fan base. We don't really know. But I understand Ole's decision making to not play them regularly because whenever they play, they miss that amount of game time. And I think for me, that's the only reason. We know how good of football players they are, and it's about the injury. The point earlier that I want to go back to, just on what Ab said about was talking about. I can't remember what it was going to be about now. So it might not even be that relevant anymore.
McFred.
It was about McFred, but it was in terms of my mind is completely gone. So it doesn't matter. You were going to say something, Ab. Anyway, go on, mate. Go on.
To what obviously sort of Aidan is saying. For me, I think the problem is naturally anyone just plays centre back growing up, you don't swap centre back partnerships. It's only because Man City have got 3 top class centre backs they can do it. But the problem is, let's say they do because Laporte, because he's more injury prone.
Laporte comes in a lot.
He's technically now the third choice centre back just because he's the more injury prone centre back. But if Bailly was, for example, Bailly, who never got injured, then I think you could rotate our centre backs. But the problem is that our 2 centre backs.
But to that point though, the problem I have with the United fans in terms of the centre back problem or centre back situation is that the same energy doesn't get kept when Maguire has stall centre back displays. Fair enough, cool. Maguire might not be the centre back that you want. He shouldn't have been given the captain's armband and all of the things. Aside from that, I think there's a lot of focus on what Maguire isn't rather than what Maguire is.
But the thing is,
it's because it's in the big games. I think the problem is that even now, Maguire had a good run of about 10 games where I would say, like Milan, he was very good. I think Maguire does a lot of time get unfairly criticised, and I do think he was good. But then he goes to Leicester and makes granted, Fred was stupid there, but it's a silly pass to Fred when he's got everyone around him. And again, all the time. No, but okay. Well, regardless of whether you agree that's Maguire's fault or not, he made a mistake versus City, and he also made a mistake versus Leipzig. It's every time we get to a big game, he just doesn't turn up.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair point you make there, Aid. My view is just very much this. This is where football fans wind me up. Under Jose, we moan that we never nailed down people just went, just pick 2 and stick with them. And then we have a manager then we pick a manager that does that, and it's like, well, no, actually, I prefer rotation.
First,
what I want to see more from, it's a bit like I am making a compilation video of all the things people hate about Ole, and I'm making a video that's going to come out, and a couple of you guys on here feature, and I'm going to be using that as a blueprint of all the things I want to see you guys criticize the new manager about if he does. So, like laughing, not overplaying players. What was one I saw that you put out the other day, Johnny? It made me laugh. It's funny, by the way. None of it's taken. No. But it's okay. I'm going to come to you when these things happen because we don't like Ole doing it. It's all a bit tongue in cheek. It's all a bit of a laugh. And I'm doing it because we're fickle. We all do it. There's something that Ole will hate. But in a manager you love, you'll ignore it. And we know that because there's things my children do. If any other kid did it, I go, what's a little shit? My daughter does it. I'm like, oh, it's cute. we never get out of that mindset as people. And it's an interesting point you bring up there, Abs. In terms of the overall, the midfield element, we know we need better. And this is also my argument that goes back into what we're talking there. Maguire paying that pass into Fred. My view is this. When you're playing out from the back, it's designed to attract the press, and it's for you to pass the press, that you have space in behind. We're asking for that style of play. Now, whether it's, I take Aidan's point from the past, a better manager makes us better drilled. We accomplish it more often. I agree with that. But equally, Nagelsmann isn't going to be able to play that football consistently and win with Fred and McTominay either. He's going to need better quality.
I was going to say something.
Hell
I was going
yeah.
to say something.
Hell
I was going
yeah.
to say something, though. I was going to say something. I don't think, and look, I know this one thing I think, the managers need to be able to make mistakes. Alex Ferguson made bad signings. If Ole does make a mistake with Maguire, he needs to be able to have 2 or 3 centre-backs, I think. But Ole sold Dalot. He bought Wan-Bissaka. He sold whoever Smalling, and he bought Maguire. Yeah? Maguire, I don't think Nagelsmann would have bought for that much because he knows he can't play out the back. Dalot's much better at playing out the back than Wan-Bissaka. Ole chooses a lot of the time, sometimes to play players that can't play at the back. Like, if he wants to play Henderson, he should have played Henderson a year ago. But De Gea can't play out the back. He can't.
No, but Aiden
Can't play out the back. So why has he been playing De Gea for the whole season?
The reason
If
why
he wants to play out the back, play Henderson.
I think, and
is that
you got me.
Sorry. The reason why I just want to push back on that a little bit is because when Mourinho was in charge, how many United fans were saying they want Maguire in the centre back position?
If I wasn't, so that doesn't matter to me though. That's not
fair
relevant
enough,
to me.
innit? But the thing was, Maguire was able to bring the ball out of the back, and he can pass the ball. And
in
he's
a back three, three, that's very different. Again, this is the thing. Ole should have looked at that.
Again,
and
I
said,
agree with you. I agree with you to that point. And this is where I look at the club, and that's why I have no faith in how we're run. Because if we have a profile of player that we need, both technical and on mental scale, it should be identified that we know who the right individual is. And even if it's Ole, by the way, big report from James Ducker today that just says, listen, Ole gets vetoed with most things that he wants to do. It depends, again, what side
of course he does.
Some people call him a puppet. Some people think he's in complete control. Depends on where the wind is blowing, really and truly. But this is where the club needs to have an ethos. And it's why just sacking him, it goes back to that point. Why sacking a manager doesn't work, because if it's true that Ole has had complete control over these signings, and we hold
he hasn't.
No, but even if we do, right? If it's him or it's the ball, it doesn't matter, because we then want this new style of manager that's going to play out from the back. But then we just drop another 200 million on players that can't do it, and it means restarting again. And my view, we never. One sec, mate. What we never end up doing is building what's needed with the right players. And we're never going to get out of this Groundhog Day. And it's why when I see everyone screaming for Ole out, people see my defense of it. They see my saying that isn't the answer, is defending Ole. But trust me, in 2 years, when all 5 of us are sat here talking about Nagelsmann out or Allegri out, I'll still be sitting here saying the same thing I was 7 years ago. We need to look at the way we're operating as a football club. My only hope is,
of course,
is that more people start focusing on that. And whether we can change it or not is completely and utterly irrelevant.
Completely different,
focusing our energy and criticisms on the right people and not just the easiest common denominator. Yes, Johnny, go on, mate.
I was having a massive argument over there on Twitter with somebody. I just want to know I've got there's 5 of us here. I want to know your opinion. Who do you think is the best? Who do you think is better on the ball, Eric Bailly or Harry Maguire? I'll answer first.
Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly by far.
Eric Bailly.
I was such a freaking back and forth argument over there.
No,
and I feel Eric Bailly is much more comfortable on the ball.
Johnny, the one it is, I think people get this wrong. There's a difference between a ball playing centre back and a ball travelling centre back. Harry Maguire as a travelling centre back is really good. But when we say on the ball, spray passes, do things like that, he's average. He's okay.
Like Cruyff turns, he can't do that.
He's not a ball. For me, Lindelof is a more ball playing centre back than Maguire. Maguire
definitely
more travelling centre back. That's just what
you
it is.
I agree.
Well, that's the thing, because he was in a back 3. Just to say, because he was in a back 3, he had 2 centre backs that would still sit back and like for England, and then be able to go forward because then he wasn't isolated. But what a lot of the times happened is he'd come forward with the ball. Matic would also like to come forward, and then Lindelof would be isolated. We've got no pace, so we get exposed, and that's the problem. This is why I say if Ole wanted to buy, because I think Ole, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Dandies were his signings. Why would you buy Maguire and then play a back 4? Because if he wants to step out, he hasn't got defenders that can cover him. So it's like
I totally agree.
You know what I mean? Like,
for me, if you put Maguire into the right team, so Maguire is
he'd be good.
Good at traveling with the ball. He's not a bad passer. He is one of the best
passer
as a defender in world football. He is one of the best defenders in world football, or what they. Harry Maguire, he's one of the best. No, he's one of the best.
I can name you 5 centre backs right now that are far beyond him: Kimpembe, Marquinhos, Varane, Ramos, and Alaba. Easily, all 4 of them.
No, Terry.
What?
Huh? Everything. Just being a better centre back.
You didn't. I literally gave one element of his game I was talking about. I'm not saying better.
Just defense.
No. I'm talking about what you call defensive duels and interceptions. The volume that he attempts each game and the volume that he wins in terms of winning the possession back is one of the highest in world football. So there are elements of Harry Maguire's game that are very, very good. Where we get frustrated is his ball playing. Where we get frustrated is his ability to turn.
Yeah.
So you have to play someone to their strengths. What we do with Harry Maguire is the same thing people do when it comes to criticizing Paul Pogba. We moan about the things that he's not good at doing. Or with Anthony Martial, we moan about the things that he's not good at doing rather than creating a system that benefits his strengths.
They're both much better technical footballers than Harry Maguire.
That's based on their positions. You're not going to find a better centre-back in the league in terms of... One second. Within the aerial duels, winning the interceptions, the clearances that he makes, the blocks that he gets on, he's superior to so many people in that. He's one-on-one defending.
But that doesn't matter if you get. But that doesn't matter if you get skinned by Bergwijn. Like in the modern game, I get what you're saying, but you need to have a level of athleticism.
I went through this last year in terms of being dribbled past because again, he gets skinned too often.
Harsh, yeah.
I then went and looked at it, and I looked at the players that everyone says better, and only last season, Van Dijk and Lindelof, strangely enough,
you're looking at statistics. Statistics don't say everything.
Finish making my point, please. It's not about statistics. I use Y-Scout. So every single statistic has video evidence next to it. So I can look at every single piece of footage for the last 6 years. Every ball that Harry Maguire's kicked, I have access to it. Everything. So I can look at how many times he's been dribbled past. How has he been skinned? And I agree. I was like, wow, he got dribbled past 14 times last year. And I was like, that's a lot. Until I did my research. And what's the guy's name at Napoli? I forgot his name. Koulibaly got skinned and dribbled past 21 times in the league last season, and he's faster. So what we do with football players is we look at something we don't like about them and we say it's terrible, but we never spend any time investing into doing any cross-referencing. So he's been dribbled past 14 times and turned. How often is that happening to elite level defenders? And then you do a cross comparison. You have to do that. Otherwise, the statistic is null and void. We had someone did it yesterday where they said Harry Kane doesn't score in enough individual games. So we run the numbers, and literally only 3 strikers in the whole of the Europeans' top 5 leagues have scored in more individual games this season than Harry Kane. But the stat, when he threw it out, it sounded really damning until we did the cross-reference. So we're looking at it like you shouldn't get
stats nowadays can be very manipulated for it because
Shout out to Culture. Are you aware of Culture Cams?
Yeah.
He's a sick YouTuber.
Culture Cams because this is credited to him, right? First of all, would we all agree, based on the eye test, that Van Dijk is leap years ahead of Maguire? Do we agree on that? Yeah, we all agree on that. That's the baseline. Last year, statistically, Harry Maguire was the better centre back than Van Dijk.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. You shouldn't base
But what you're doing is you're then also looking at the fact that the eye test is an aesthetically pleasing element as well. So when Van Dijk does things, he looks so commanding. He doesn't look awkward, so it makes it look better. But it doesn't mean he isn't better. I do think, and I've said this many times on here, that Virgil van Dijk is the best defender in the world by a long stretch last year. Like for a couple of years, he was just, for me, head and shoulders above everybody. I don't think, I'm not even calling Harry Maguire a world-class centre-back. People are getting me twisted. On the things I've mentioned, his ability to intercept, his ability in defensive, his aerial ability, his blocking, his interception mentions, and his clearances are amazing. And that is the most basic element that you need to have to be a very good defender. The things that we're not happy with him doing, like a lot of it is his ball playing, you should then have other players in your team that can do it, because Vidic was one of the best defenders we ever had at Manchester United. He couldn't back. So if you had two, what the point I'm making is, if you had no, but you're not listening to my point. If you had 2 Vidics at Man United and you didn't have a Rio Ferdinand with his speed and ability on the ball, they wouldn't have been as good a defensive partnership. It's about bringing.
But of course they wouldn't. Yeah,
how much better John Stones looks this year with Ruben Diaz compared to when he was partnered with Laporte. He hasn't changed his style or his game. It's about partnerships, and it's about having the right person next to you. And all I'm saying about Harry Maguire is there are elements of his game that are very, very good. And there are other elements where he has flaws. That's normal for the vast majority of football players. In the same thing as I said about Martial and about Pogba. I'm not saying that we shouldn't say of course they're better than him technically, but they still have flaws to their game. So why do we not judge them on their flaws, but we judge Harry Maguire on his flaws?
Terry, I think with what you said with regarding Harry Maguire, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. He gets judged on things which for me is ridiculous. My only criticism of Harry Maguire is actually the opposite. For me, I feel like he tries to be too much of a Rio Ferdinand, which I want him to be more of a Vidic. I want him to be more imposing. I want him to go, strikers to go, oh shit, I'm actually versing Harry Maguire.
He's like 100 kg. He's massive.
Think about it like this. That's because he is provided with that responsibility to be that person. So think about it like this. The person I always like to use when I was talking about the centre-back situation is Kurt Zouma. Kurt Zouma is probably one of the most, in terms of aesthetics, in terms of how he plays on the ball, terrible defenders you'll find. But in terms of everything else and what he has, in terms of imposing his will on defenders, he's quality at that. And the thing is, it's about the partner that he has next to him. Remember Kurt Zouma under Lampard at Old Trafford? He was practically one of the biggest reasons why we lost that game 4-0. Yeah. But then slowly he's developed into a defender that has been capable.
He's got better this season.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
The reason why, just to finish it, the reason why is look at who his partner was for over half the season, Thiago Silva. And that is the reason why he's been able to be more competent and no one will complain about Zouma.
Okay, can I say, yes, Zouma is better. Not denying that. Not denying Zouma is better. But he's not a title. If you want to win 4 or 5 titles in a row and you want to win consistent honours, Zuma's not the defender you want to have at the club. But that's what I'm saying. If you want to have a partnership like we used to, Zouma is not the level of Varane and Ramos. He's not the level of Vidic and Ferdinand. He's just not. And this is what I'm saying. Yes, you can make Maguire better. Yes, you can. I'm not denying that with a better centre-back partner you could. But he still wouldn't be, in my opinion,
if Ruben Diaz was partnered with Harry Maguire, was that a title? I'm just asking. Is it?
Okay, we could get away with it. We could win somebody else. Yes,
I think that's an agenda then. I think that's an agenda.
But that isn't even. Sorry, that's not even the debate. I'm not sitting here saying put in a brilliant. It makes him world class. I'm simply stating that we have where I see the agendas in all of this is earlier on in the show, Aidan. You gave it. I don't remember what the stat was, but you said I'm giving you a stat, and it's a stat, and it's a fact, and it can't be argued with. Now we're saying that stats can, when it comes to Harry Maguire, stats suddenly can be manipulated.
But that's a different type of statistic. This is a statistic that isn't in its method, like how you come to it. Trophies are yes or no, they're black or white. In terms of how you come to the conclusion that someone is ran past or dribble past. That's very vague. Now assists,
but it isn't
get
vague.
Assists for silly things. It is vague. If someone gets dribbled past,
but the volume of it comes down to this. I get sometimes there can be a time where you think, okay, this isn't a good stat, but the fact that he wins over 70% of his defensive duels, and these are defensive duels where he steps out from midfield and he's winning more than any other people. Yes, darling. Oh, sorry, I got a video. What's the matter?
Oh,
come see me. You want to say hello?
Hello to everyone.
Hi. Hiya. Right, I'll see you in a minute. I'll be 5 minutes. I'll be with you, all right? You've been out somewhere. The point I'm making is that, I look at it and watch it, and he's making these challenges, and he's winning the majority. He's winning the headers in the boxes. He's getting the blocks in. He's making...
Oh, yeah, he is, yeah.
And... of course, there's going to be a few in there. You go, yeah, well, that was an easy interception because the player miscontrolled it slightly. So it was an easy one for him. But Van Dijk will have some of them as well. But at the end of the day, it's a bit like the Drogba conversation we had earlier. People say things like Drogba wasn't renowned for being a good sort of stat man. He's got 425 goal contributions in 600 games. It's like that's elite still. Plus all the other elements that we don't look at statistically are there as well. All I'm stating is that what we do with Harry Maguire is we push him down for the things that he isn't great at. But if you do that to a player people like, and you speak about, well, Martial's movement, yeah, but he's not about the movement. Yeah, but I want a striker that is about the move. You've got to have the same energy for all players. And I think for me, if you stuck a world-class centre-back next to Harry Maguire, it would be a very good partnership. Maguire on the same level as a Vidic or as a Stam or as a Rio Ferdinand. Absolutely not. I'm not arguing that he's on the level of those players. But people, when I say he's really good at certain defensive elements, people say he ain't world class though.
That's just silly. Then that's just But I agree that he's like, one thing I will say is one thing that irritates me is, again, Harry Maguire. He's stature. He's huge. He's tall. Why do we mark zonally? If you have a player like Maguire, the clever thing to do if you have a player like Maguire is, okay, track the man. You're literally opening Maguire up for criticism by not playing man-for-man marking. Also, our corners, they're not drilled well. If you know you've got a big centre-back like that, the best thing you can do is start on the edge of the box, run in. Nobody's going to challenge him, he's huge, and get on the end of a header. But again, we're not helping Maguire. We're not helping Maguire, are we? We're not.
That point, I agree with half of it, but the second half I don't. So in terms of marking zonally, one thing I would say is, look, Chelsea last season, we were one of the worst teams in terms of defending set pieces, and we were marking zonally. This season, we're one of the best. Last season, we were one of the worst attacking corners in terms of what we used to do tactics-wise. And this season, we're one of the best. And what the outlier was, last season, we were playing with Zuma as well, who was a
that Wi-Fi, bro.
headable area and whatnot in terms of like that again, dominating the ball and whatnot. But now this season, he scored a ton of goals from corners, attacking them, and also being able to defend them. And that's just slight changes. So I agree with you in terms of the drilling, in terms of Ole's coaching, but in terms of the zonal thing, every team marks zonally, really. If you think about it,
some do man. A lot of do man for man, especially for the bigger men. There's
a lot of mix I see now going on, but this is what you get when you bring up stats. As I say, I see this on socials all the time. People love a stat when it backs their agenda, and generally, when we get a lot of stats thrown at us on the terrace, is when they're negative, right? So if someone says, "Oh, Rashford's rubbish because he misses 5 big chances," I don't care, because that's a stat, bro. So either stats matter or they don't. That's first and foremost for me. But then this is what you get. Saliba hasn't been dribble past this season. With Terry's logic, he's top 3 defender. But I didn't say that Harry Maguire was a top 3 defender based on one specific statistic being very, very good. I gave you multiple that he's good at and said that makes him a good to very good defender. For him to be at that £80 million mark that the club paid for him, he needs to be able to do all the things he's doing.
That's not his fault, though. He didn't pay 80 million for himself. Again,
that's why the criticism's there, though, because if he him season earlier for the £50 million that he was originally linked with us with, he wouldn't get anywhere near he wouldn't. And what happened to Maguire? It's so obvious that it's a expectation thing.
Yeah,
Liverpool spent similar money on a centre back, and it was almost a cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake. There was an instant improvement. They got to a Champions League final, and then the following season they almost won the league and won the Champions League. Man United fans, Maguire. It was 80 million quid, and you can't help yourself. And I saw it on socials because I've been active this whole time.
Comparisons.
This is gonna be us. We're gonna get there. The expectations get raised. It doesn't happen, so we look for the target, and we always do it. It's a very obvious thing. We build someone up, and we think they could be the person that takes us back to where we need to. I remember after his first game against Chelsea, and the 4th goal we scored, it was a brilliant defensive duel. He stepped out, he won the ball back, and we counted from it. I remember
which one was it?
When we beat Chelsea 4-0, and it was
where
he wins the ball, and everybody was like, "See, that's my centre back. He's gonna." And the first couple of weeks when we were doing really, really well, no one was on his neck, and then suddenly it starts going wrong. It's like, how can I find holes in everything that he does? And I saw it the other day because I know for a fact, Aid. Okay, no, I don't know for a fact. It's my opinion. If Eric Bailly or Tuanzebe had played that pass to Fred, what the OLE outers do is they go, "Who do I dislike more? The manager in the system, like or Fred or Bailly."
Yeah, of course they do.
I'm right.
Yeah, but that's just the human thing. That's just the human thing. But the thing is, as I say, that's just the human thing. Like I could bring you examples where, for example, like I saw a lot of people like I'll put up something about Dembele on my timeline, and then a Rashford AVI said Dembele doesn't have end product. So I was like, it's just silly. Like you literally rep Rashford. Like so, do you know what I mean? Is in like you can find irony in a lot of places, and I think a lot of fans will be picky and they'll be favourable to certain players. But we know that, and that's just human nature. Really, there's not much.
No, I hear that.
Centre back next to Maguire. Do you think he can take us to a title? Like, do you think he could do that? Do you think he's capable of that?
For one, you probably could with a good centre back next to him.
He had a world-class centre back next to him, and by the way, a better midfield in front of them. And then on top of that, manager coaching them. It is.
Yeah, he definitely could. He definitely.
Johnny, that's what. Johnny,
it's not just one thing, is it?
So, Johnny, the one thing you just said to me, Abs, I've gone through your sec, mate. What you just said there is what happens. We sign a top centre back. Can it push us to a title? People start going, yeah. But with so much more that's needed, we don't then achieve it, and we
need a DM
later and go.
We need a DM more than a centre back.
We drop 120 million pound on Haaland and don't win the league. People start turning on him because it's just.
I don't think Ole helped it by putting captaincy armband on him so soon. I think that's an extra responsibility.
Again, though, I question, like Terry says, I question, was that the club though? I don't know if that was Ole. I mean, I'm not sure, obviously. But even when De Gea came out and he got the captaincy stripped, was that Ole or was that the club?
On that.
Because again, I don't know.
It depends who's actually making these decisions. Abs, you were going to say something, bro?
Yeah, I think another thing which is also starting to get frustrated is this title world class. As fans, we need to get rid of that title world class because I keep hearing, if we get a world class centre back, we don't need a world class centre back. We just need a centre back that can command that line. Ruben Diaz was not classified world class when there's a Benfica, but all of a sudden he's world class. Can we just stop this world class talk and just say, can we get a centre back that suits Harry Maguire and commands on defence?
I think.
Who would you get?
Me personally,
I don't know, honestly.
I'd love to see Twanzebe just run 10 games with him. Give Twanzebe 10 games with Maguire.
I'm saying someone plays right now. I don't know.
Johnny,
I honestly don't know who.
Personally, you either need to get a quick centre back, which
Twanzebe.
Majority of them are too injury prone, or you need to get a centre back in a Ruben Diaz mold that will command a defensive partnership. For me, because Harry Maguire is the biggest. See, the problem with Harry Maguire is people think he's a commander of a defense. He's not. That's not his game. That's not his personality.
Yeah, he's not. He just looks big.
But then abs, you just pulled on another point. Go back to my point again. We're angry. A lot of the things we're angry about with Maguire. I just think it doesn't do. It's like saying, Pogba doesn't dribble past it. Pogba does dribble. It's like we do it all the time at Man United. When there's a player we don't like, we put on their flaws as opposed to focus on their weaknesses. A comment here says defensive stats aren't as reliable as attacking stats, as defending stats have more caveats in them, i.e., by the way a team plays. And I think you're absolutely right. So that's why when you cross-reference it, you don't compare what Harry Maguire's doing to a team at the bottom. Equally, there are two elements to defensive stats that are important to look at. Firstly, there's the volume that they complete, but it's the percentage they win. And that's important. And what I would say is this about defenders that play for. I'm getting real bad feedback from Abs' line. I'm not sure if you've got earphones in or not, bro.
No.
What you find as well with elite level teams is this: when you play for a bigger team, you do a lot more isolated one-on-one defending because your team attacks more, so your counter attacks on a regular basis. So a lot of what I wouldn't even look at Harry Maguire's stats from Leicester and Man United and put them into an amalgamation because the style of football is very, very different.
Yeah.
You always know, and this is the one thing that happens. You might see a centre back who looks really good in a back three, who's protected by the midfield and fullbacks who kind of play a counter attack game. You suddenly put them in a Man United team where you're playing a higher line. They're not always. That's why sometimes you see it with creative players. He creates all those chances for Aston Villa. Can he do it when he's up against a low block every week and he doesn't have all the space to run and maneuver himself into?
Yeah, it's true.
Attacking stats also have those exact same caveats in them. The difference is, Mohammed, what I would say is this: we believe in stats as people when they back our agenda or our opinion on a particular player. If you were out here saying Maguire's the best, say Van Dijk's the best in the world, people focus on all the stats that are brilliant. So we all know he's the best in the world. Everybody spoke about him not being dribble past all season is because he's the best in the world. Last year, Victor Lindelof got dribble past once. Nobody cared because we know Lindelof isn't the best in the world. We only like stats when they back out, serve our purpose, and we hate them when they destroy our agenda. And of course,
that's a human nature thing. That's a human nature.
Are you aware of Rick the Red?
The human nature element, Lord, is what I'm saying. You're right. Why they do
Rick the Red, right? Doesn't so much do with stats, but what Rick the Red does, right? He sings Dan James's praises, right? And it's just that's his opinion. He's entitled to do that. But what Rick the Red does, he will pick out selected video clips that make Dan James look brilliant. I could go and pick out 10 clips that make him look trash. And it's just another type of stat. And like you said, people can take information.
Also, what you've got to look at is that's where the eye test fouls people. People act like the eye test can't foul you. Well,
that's like comp players, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
like Pereira had a mad comp, but he's dead food. Do you know what I mean?
The eye test can foul you because at the end of the day, your preference may not be what your team needs. Like at the end of the day, you just I always like David. The reason I like Harry Kane is the same reason I like David Beckham growing up in terms of football. I like how it sounds weird, but I like their body shape when they hit a ball. I think it looks sort of the lines look nice, so it's pretty to watch. It's elegant, right? Some people
he does like this. Beckham like put his arms out and that.
Beckham's shape is like so memorable. One of the reasons that I like the way Aaron Wan-Bissaka's the polar opposite of this for both things. The way he defends is beautiful looking. The way he tackles, like you could make Air Jordan's got the Michael Jordan slam dunk. You could do that with Wan-Bissaka's tackling. It's beautiful. You watch Aaron Wan-Bissaka run. He looks like a drunk man with one leg. He looks awkward.
Have you seen him try dribble? Oh my God. He looks like my sister trying to dribble, bro, or my mum. I swear to God.
In fact, in the Premier League, Harry Kane, Aguero, and I can't remember his name, Mo Salah would lose the ball more per 90 minutes with their first touch. So this is literally their first touch is so bad, an opponent wins it off of them. They used to do it on average 1.5 to 2 times more per game than Lukaku. Why was Lukaku's bad touch focused on then? People would say he wasn't even in the top 20 in the league, Lukaku. Why did we focus on Lukaku's?
Because Man United fans.
No. It's not even that, bro. Because before he came to us, it's not about Man United fans. It's called availability bias. His was so comical when they happened, you remembered them. He would fall over the ball. His bad touch, the ball would fly over his head, and you remember it. Because you remember it, it's available. When something's available to you, we have these things called. By the way, we all use heuristics all the time when we come to decision making. Otherwise, you'd be exhausted because you have to think everything through to granular level. So you use heuristics to take shortcuts to making decisions. So you see Lukaku's bad touch being comical. You naturally assume he's got the worst first touch out of all of our strikers. But he hadn't in terms of losing possession for his team. Now, other things with Lukaku, his ball play wasn't nowhere near the same as other guys that let him down. So you end up creating an opinion which is factually incorrect, but it's based on these heuristics. It just exists everywhere. We all do it all the time. It's why we have a more unnatural fear of flying than to driving cars, because the memories are so vivid of what a plane crash looks like. It's a more of a fearful factor in your head. So your brain naturally makes a decision that flying's more dangerous. And in fact, it isn't. Bit of a science lesson there for people. Stats only matter in the context. One sec, mate. Stats only matter in the context of how a team plays. Van Dijk is only considered one of the best defenders because his team won things.
Van Dijk's cold, man. Van
Dijk was amazing everywhere he went. Of course, when you played for Southampton, he made more mistakes. Why did he make more mistakes? He was under pressure more regularly in games. I'd say one of the biggest attributes that the top level players don't ever get accredited to, goalkeepers more than anyone, is concentration levels. You need to be able to go 20 minutes doing nothing and then be called into action and be brilliant. And that's why it's so amazing, because you'd watch him play and he'd do nothing for 50 minutes. And then there'd be a sudden counter-attack and he'd boom, step in, intercept the ball. Wow, he wasn't caught sleeping. And that's really important. Another comment here says, Terry, the eye test is not just aesthetics. On Lukaku, it's not just he didn't lose the ball, that he didn't destroy the play with his touch. No, I hear you on that, bro. I said there's more than one factor, but I singled it down to just he got a bad first touch. People made it one singularity. My biggest issue with Lukaku was his ball play. He would control the ball fine, and then his passing ability, his interchange, and his approach play wasn't good enough. But people put it down to his first touch, which wasn't often the issue. It was everything else surrounding it. Why did he put it down to the first touch? Because it stood out in your mind when it was bad. I remember the one he did against Southampton. Do you remember when he nearly broke his leg? He went up and it's like you remember that moment, and it's like, see, I told you. I told you with it.
I think he looks bad on Terry, that he's gone to Inter Milan and he's like, I think he's a Serie A leading goal scorer.
He's got 19 goals and 6 assists.
But he's gone over there.
Doesn't look bad on
the thing is though, like I watch Inter Milan and AC Milan basically all their games. The reason why he's doing better there is because of the system they play in. They have fullbacks that come up. He also has a partnership with Martinez, and he also often has Barella and Vidal right behind him, so he can always lay the ball off. But a lot of the time, he was expected to pick up the ball and hold it up. He's not an isolated striker. He's all right. He's strong. Martial's actually much better at holding the ball up. Yes. Now he has like Martinez near him. He has Barella near him. He has Vidal near him. Before, he was just sitting by himself. So the only thing he was good at is flicking it on like he did versus Liverpool. He can't hold it up.
So what I would say is this: you absolutely spot. He's not actually a target man in sense. People
He's not.
again, the eye test ruins it. You see, big strong man must be your target man. The eye test it ruins it. But equally, it's not on
He's
Ollie.
pacey as hell.
If you go back to the actual story, he'd already become disillusioned with Man United prior and wanted to leave. Ollie came in and they spoke. And he said to Ole, I just really want to leave the football club. And Ole helps him move on. So
yeah, Ole helped him move. He said he respects him for that.
It's not a bad look on Ole. It's a bad
No,
look.
I didn't mean in terms of relationship. I meant how, like, he wasn't prolific at United, whereas he is at Inter. That's what I meant.
Bro. It weren't on that. He only played for Ole for three or 4 months. It's
if anything, that's Mourinho's fault.
It was all before that when he fell out of love with the football club. Ole couldn't do anything to convince him. He already wanted to leave before Ole was appointed as the manager. It's not that one for me. Isn't on Ole.
All right, just a question.
No. I get that. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. We're back at 9 o'clock tonight. We've got a massive show at 9. We're debating the greatest ever Premier League champions. So we're doing that. We're ranking
Man United. None of this Invincibles crap.
Well, there we go. So we'll be doing that live tonight at 9 p.m. So make sure you're tuning into the Football Terrace. Go over there and get that stream already bookmarked, liked, and ready to go. Until what's that? Terry, I just realized that you don't even understand the concept of an eye test. I guarantee you this new type. I cannot listen to this. That's why I say this.
Terry's choosing violence.
No, it is. It's just what it comes down to. And I know I'm right. I could ask all 4 of you now to define it for me. And I bet I get 4 different fucking answers. So don't tell me that I don't understand something where there's no true definition.
No, there isn't. It's very subjective.
It's like world class. We can all give a different answer. So it's not about me not understanding it, you tired. It's listen, bruv, you're never gonna catch me out on this stuff, bro. I've been doing this for 8 years, bro.
Terry, before we go, just got to put it out there. If Haaland comes into the Premier League, I actually don't think he's going to smash it. Just put it out there for people to.
Don't. That's another debate. That's another debate for another day, bro. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless, and I'll see you.